Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. وبعد كذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض ولنعلمه من تأويل الأحاديث. The story of Yusuf, as you know, is one that people continue to benefit from. Since the day it was revealed till the day of Qiyamah. But one thing that continued to strike me in that story is that in the darkest moment, Allah can still bring a way out for you, even from the midst of the enemy. Look at all of them when they gathered. They were all planning to terminate Yusuf, to get rid of him. But the decision that led to the story of Yusuf was actually from one of them, when he said, لا تقتلوا يوسف وألقوه في غيابة الجب. So you cannot get enough of this faida, because sometimes you see a wall of enemies in front of you and you think that there will be no way out. Look at what's happening to our brothers in Gaza. You know, a lot of people thought the previous administration was bad, but not knowing what this one is coming with. And he's saying that everyone is going to be dead and this and that. And people can despair. But even in the midst of that despair, Allah can still bring the faraj out of it. And that was what happened. In the midst of all the enmity, it was from them that Allah brought someone. So imagine that they had agreed to kill him and they killed him, that would have been the end. But one of them said, okay, let's make it a little bit less. And that which they made a little bit less was what led to the great story of Yusuf, and at the end of the day, him becoming, a minister, so on and so forth. So that's something we should always keep at the back of our mind. That no matter how people gather against you, to get rid of you or to harm you or to whatever, Allah can still use them to be the sabbath for your greatness. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us understanding of Quran. So inshallah we'll continue. قال المصنف وفقه الله الرابع تكلم بطيب القول في خير واخفض صوتك متحملا في حديثك وأنصت لمن كلمك مقبلا عليه ولا تقاطع ولا تتقدم بين يدي الأكبر بالكلام. So this is the fourth adab or etiquette that has to do with speech. So how we talk to one another, how we interact with one another. So there are a few items here. The first is that this is the fourth one. The Musannif said the fourth from out of the 10 is an adab that has to do with kalam. There are 7 issues raised in this point. Today maybe we take maximum 2 or 3 and then we'll continue next time, inshallah. So the first issue, he says, تَكَلَّمْ بِطَيِّبِ الْقَوْلِ فِي خَيْرٍ. Whenever you talk with the best of speech, in the best of ways as you can. Say the best things. Do not be someone who, whether in Ramadan or outside of Ramadan, always using bad word, always cursing. People say that cursing is when a person has, there's a lack of words to express how he feels. So if the person cannot really express how they feel, then they curse. So instead of cursing, try to express exactly what's wrong with you or how you are feeling. And that way, you are not saying something bad. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir, falyakul khayran aw liyasmut." The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he attached good speech to iman. Good speech to iman. So he says, whoever believes in Allah and the day of Qiyamah, let him speak well or let him keep quiet. It doesn't harm. It doesn't take any effort to be quiet. There's a common saying. They say, if speech is silver, then silence is golden. If speech is silver, then silence is gold. Because when you are silent, people don't know what's in your mind. They don't know. But as soon as you open your mouth, then you expose yourself. Right? So, but if you have to say something, then say something good. And say something good. So that's the first point. The second point, he said, وَخْفِضْ صَوْتَكَ. وَخْفِضْ صَوْتَكَ. When you talk, lower your voice. Don't be the kind of person that, when they are talking, they are like microphone. Even Luqman alayhi salatu wasalam, he told his child, he said, وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ. There's the opposite. I can't remember now. Al-Muhim, meaning, he says, lower your voice. Lower your voice. He said, إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. He said, the worst of voices is the voice of the hamir, the braying of the donkey. So a person should not be someone who is yelling, who is, that's not a way to express, yourself. Because the more you yell, people don't even understand what you're saying. I was driving one day and I saw behind, all these posters that people put behind their vehicles. It says improve the strength of your argument, not the volume of your voice. Like when a person wants to really make their point, then they start speaking, with a louder voice. If people don't understand what you're saying, instead of yelling, try to find a way to make your argument better. So what is it that I can say that they can understand what I'm saying? Because increasing your volume just makes them, especially when you do it to kids, they become confused. Because they're like, what is he saying now? Right? And they even get scared. Right? But find a way to say it better that they can understand what you're saying. So that's the second issue. The third issue, it says, وَالْمَسَأَلَةُ الثَّالِثَةُ فِي قَوْلِهِ مُتَمَهِّلًا فِي حَدِيثِكِ. مُتَمَهِّلًا. When you speak مُتَمَهِّلًا. What does it mean, مُتَمَهِّلًا? It says, التَّمَهُّلْ التَّأَنِّي وَالتُّؤَدَةُ. It says it is to be calm, to speak easily, calmly, gently. فَيُخْرِجُ كَلَامَهُ شَيْئًا فَشَيْئًا. Such that what you are saying comes out one at a time. One at a time. Don't rush what you're saying to people. Because even the way you are saying it one at a time, some people don't understand. In fact, some people will leave understanding the opposite of what you are saying. And that has happened many times. You are saying A, someone will stand up and is going to argue, saying he's saying negative A. It is not A he's saying. So if people are not wired the same way, with the same level of understanding, you know what I'm saying? When you speak step by step. حتى يتحرز فيه ما يتكلم به ويعقل عنه. So that the one who is listening to you can understand what you are saying and not misunderstand you. Inshallah, we'll stop here and then we'll continue with the fourth point. Jazakumullah khairan.